I want to show you this clip that CNN just barely released today. It's voters in Iowa, and they're highlighting voters who recently just switched over towards favoring Pete Buttigieg because he's the more pragmatic candidate, where at one point they would have favored someone that was more progressive. Just want to show this video and really point to the fact that CNN is trying to shape public opinion. They play it off as if they're just telling it like it is, when in reality they are trying to create a narrative and get Americans to believe that narrative.
Electability. It has been the buzzword for the 2020 Democratic primary, a sort of nirvana the candidates are trying to reach to convince voters they are the best to beat President Trump. So how is that electability factor steering voters' decisions when they head to the polls? CNN's Jeff Zeleny traveled to the all-important state of Iowa to find out.
I identify as a democratic socialist. Progressive policies speak to me. That's what I prefer.
Maggie Willems is a proud liberal, but 2 months before the voting begins, she's in a moderate mood.
I also understand that I am not representative of the whole electorate, and we need to be sure to select a candidate that can defeat Donald Trump.
Here in Mount Vernon and in towns across Iowa, Willems and other Democrats are thinking hard about electability as they search for the best candidate to defeat President Trump. For most of the year, the Democratic race has been driven by left-leaning proposals, from the Green New Deal to Medicare for All to free college.
When we give up on the big ideas, we give up on the people.
But in the final weeks of 2019, moderates are fighting back, like in this ad from Pete Buttigieg, where he takes a thinly veiled swipe at Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren's plans.
There's some voices saying, well, that doesn't count unless you go even further, unless it's free even for the kids of millionaires. But I only want to make promises that we can keep.
Worried about.
With Mayor Pete's idea for college, individual households that are making over $150,000 per year, their kids wouldn't get help with college. To understand, that's very middle class. That is not millionaires and billionaires. Yes, that's upper middle class, but cutting it off right there and not helping them, that's ridiculous. And saying that they're not going to help for millionaires and billionaires, it's actually good for society as a whole when the children of the wealthy are mixed in with everyone else. And besides that, a lot of the wealthiest individuals are sending their kids to elite private schools that wouldn't be getting the money anyways. So as far as Pete's plan for that, it's not really going to be much better.
Trump winning re-election, a pragmatic awakening is underway for some voters like Willems, a teacher who once thought she might support Warren.
Politically, I agree with nearly everything that Warren has to say.
How are you?
When we first met Willems on Labor Day, she was weighing two options.
Biden would be my pragmatic choice, and Warren would be a bit of a leap of faith in my heart.
But now she's ruled out both, souring on Warren's embrace of Medicare for All and skeptical of Biden's appeal to younger voters. She's leaning toward Buttigieg.
He has the ability to maybe talk across the aisle that more overtly progressive candidates might not.
Let me tell you, if you can't bring the country together, we're in real trouble.
While Sanders and Warren are still electrifying the party's liberal base, Buttigieg, Joe Biden, and Amy Klobuchar are steering the conversation to the middle, saying it's critical to appeal to a broader swath of voters.
You want to put someone on top of our ticket that brings people with them and doesn't shut them out.
Not a joke.
The message is resonating with Katie Haverkamp, an independent voter who plans to take part in the Iowa caucuses for the first time because of her disdain for Trump.
What kind of Democrat are you looking for?
I'm looking for someone that is moderate, that is a strong leader, and has integrity.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
She and her mother came to see Biden when his bus tour passed through Iowa Falls. They hope to check out Buttigieg soon. Back in Mount Vernon, Willems' social studies classroom is decorated with posters from campaigns gone by. She said finding a candidate to motivate Democrats and win over Trump voters is her chief concern.
How often do you think about electability?
Often. And I try and think of that middle third and how they might be persuaded to vote for the Democratic ticket.
That was Jeff Zeleny reporting.
So there's a lot of thoughts just from that entire interview. For one, they're saying we need a moderate candidate. Understand that there was a poll done by PBS NewsHour in July, in which 70% of Americans agreed with the idea of Medicare for all. So it's a massively popular idea, and that's Americans. That's not saying Democrats, that's Americans. In addition to that, recognize that CNN, they handpicked the people they would interview. They didn't go and choose a well-educated Bernie supporter who can explain all Bernie's best ideas. They're finding people that support Mayor Pete and then making it seem like, oh, this is just a random person that we just happen to come across. This is reflective of the greater voting public. It's like, no, CNN chose that person for a reason. They purposefully chose to exclude a Bernie supporter or even a Warren or Yang supporter, and they chose to go after someone who is favorable towards Buttigieg. This is why Noam Chomsky calls it manufactured consent, because the media is able to create a narrative. Understand, Pete Buttigieg is the billionaire's favorite candidate. 30 billion or more billionaires have given to his campaign. They love Mayor Pete. They want him to get elected. And then they try to play it off through billionaire-funded media stations, like, oh, Pete's just good at bringing people together. He's just going to be able to convince individuals cross party lines that he would be a great candidate. Couldn't Yang do that? Why doesn't CNN find a bunch of Yang supporters and interview them? Bernie was winning over people in the Rust Belt, but of course they don't highlight that. They don't highlight supporters of Trump that then like Bernie. So just understand and recognize that CNN and some of these companies, they are manufacturing consent. They're shaping public opinion. They are not just these objective referees just calling it how it is. They are definitely trying to persuade the American public of some ideas. There's a reason why they focus so much on just the message of Trump, but they don't focus on ideas of like Occupy Wall Street and Social Security and Medicare for all. They don't interview people who just lost a family member because the family member couldn't pay for their medical bills. They're not doing that. They stick to a script. They stick to the billionaire-approved script. You're wanting to see more videos on history, politics, societal issues, explaining how campaign finance works, how the system works, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.